You taught me to shoot my first basket. You made us fifth grade conference champions. I never cared about the fans. I just loved seeing you in the stands. Long talks on the ride home. I miss them when we're on the phone. 'Cause not all girls get a dad like you. And I'm so lucky that I have you. Oh, there's no way I could ever thank you for all the things you helped me to do. I'm so happy blood's thicker than water. 'Cause Dad, I'm so proud to be your daughter. I used to hate green eyes, I wanted blue. But now I love them 'cause I look like you. They say I ain't pretty, but I don't care. 'Cause I got your smile and red hair. When I look in the mirror, I see you. 'Cause not all girls get a dad like you. And I'm so lucky that I have you. Oh, there's no way I could ever thank you for all the things you helped me to do. I'm so happy blood's thicker than water. 'Cause Dad, I'm so proud to be your daughter. When I grow up, I wanna be like you. Even if I'm half as good as you. You're the man I've always looked up to. When I grow up, I wanna be like you. I never cared about the money or fame. I'm just proud that I have your last name. Because not all girls get a dad like you. And I'm so lucky that I have you. Oh, there's no way I could ever thank you for all the things you helped me to do. I'm so happy blood's thicker than water. 'Cause Dad, I'm so proud to be your daughter. I'm so happy blood's thicker than water. 'Cause Dad, I'm so proud to be your daughter. What is up, guys? That is one of my original songs. Thank you for putting up with my piano playing. But today I have a lovely show for all of you. Hold on. All right. Freaking. All right, so that song, I wrote about a special someone. I don't know if you can guess who. Guess who in the chat? Oh my gosh. Freaking A. Okay. Hello, today, oh no. Oh no. What did I do? Blessing, why didn't you tell me my hair was like this before we started? I think I'm going to make it worse. Okay, well.
Your artist element in it. Can you put your mic up a bit?
Put my mic up.
Thank you.
Sorry, I'm a woman. I can't do anything. I cannot do anything. Guys, all right, let me log into the Audacity Network chat. So before we start, today's topic is why are modern women so angry? And before I get into it, guys, I ask, please support the network. Look, we are struggling out here. We have had how many months of no pay, Blessing?
6 months.
6 months. You know, Blessing, we're trying to pay him this month. He's done a good job, I think. Right, Blessing?
Yeah. My job is in danger.
Yeah, so, send a couple supers so we can keep Blessing around. Otherwise, he might have to make a video denouncing me just to make money, Right,
Yeah,
Blessing?
GoFundMe coming soon.
Yeah, where you can talk about your abuse and oppression, right, Blessing?
Yep, my time in the penthouse.
Thank you for the super chat, Andrew Jordan Copeland. But guys, if you want to support, look, I talked to YouTube today, and it was the most frustrating conversation. I said, Blessing, you were there. I was getting frustrated, was I not?
Yep.
Blessing, you told me not to get frustrated, right?
Yeah, your woman, you don't listen.
Okay, but they were okay. And it's nothing against my YouTube rep. I like her. She's a good chick. But it's really unhelpful when I say, how do I communicate information that makes a protected group look bad without it being hate speech? And guys, I think I'm never getting back into this program. I think I need to accept my fate, right, Blessing?
No, yeah.
No, I think we should just accept it, right, Blessing?
Come on, nah.
Blessing's holding on to hope. I have no hope. But if you guys want, I'm watching the Audacity Network live chat. That's the number one I watch. And the way you can join, it's $10 a month, $80 a year. And it really would help us support the divorce documentary. We've had to slow that down because we can't really afford flights and things like we used to. We've had to cut a lot of costs. So really the best thing you can do is just sign up for our yearly memberships. We also accept Cash App, Venmo. So if you find this useful, feel free. Okay. Anyways, so today's topic, and this topic I was just thinking, you know me, guys, pearls, just thinking away. Let me look at the chat too for YouTube. Give me a second. And I noticed that there's like 10 women under my accounts on Twitter. They are in every single account that I tweet. Like they're responding every single time. And I thought to myself, every time they're responding to me and they're just super angry. And I thought to myself, why are women so angry at the red pill? Now, I think we should start. Now, I've noticed a number of conservative influencers that need to denounce my toxicness. What are you eating over there?
Struggle eating right now.
Send me food, you know what I mean? Anyway, so I've seen a lot of influencers that, Blessing, they've needed to denounce the red pill. And, I saw a recent video from, I think, Lauren Southern, this chick's name. Honestly, guys, I didn't know who she was until she released a video me tooing like the entire conservative movement. That was the first time I saw her. Don't know who this chick is, but regardless, I noticed her, I noticed Sydney Watson, I noticed a bunch of conservative influencers feeling the need to denounce the red pill. Now, guys, what is the red pill? The red pill is not me. It is bigger than me. The red pill is men comparing notes to gain an advantage in the sexual marketplace for years. This talk used to happen in barbershops, locker rooms, and it started online in internet forums. For the ladies watching, I'll give you an example. If I go to a woman, now, obviously this is tough to believe, but I've never done this. If a chick gets a boob job and she goes and she says, I am able to attract higher value men with this boob job. the moralists and the Christians and whatever will come in and say, don't do that. That's wrong. Yada, yada, yada. That's whatever. But really, the purpose of the red pill, men were trying to find information that worked to fix their problems. Maybe it was a problem getting laid. Maybe it was a problem in marriage. Maybe it was a problem in relationships. But a lot of men, when you have men coming together from all over the world, they notice patterns of behavior quicker than even women notice them. And I just kept asking myself, why are these women so mad? Why are they so angry? Why are they shaming men? Why are these conservative women, shaming men for their opinions on relationships? Isn't it a bit out of order for a woman to be telling a man he's wrong for his opinions on modern dating and relationships? And what I've noticed is if the men and myself, I guess, do not communicate information in the way that women deem acceptable, the women get angry. Recently I saw a chick in my replies just making up straight bullshit about me. And this has happened to me for 2 years where they just make shit up. And I thought to myself, why are these women so angry that they feel the need to crucify anybody that doesn't see dating and relationships the same way they do? So, my first question, ladies, seriously, we live in the freest society that we could ever live in. Most women have no idea just how difficult it is for men to build the society that we live in. Men work in the factories that build this microphone. Men build the building I'm sitting in. They keep the electric on. They keep the plumbing going. We have the opportunity to marry who we want. Nobody has a gun to their head and is forced into an arranged marriage. Women have the freedom to dress how we want. Shit, I've seen a bunch of you ladies on the streets basically naked. And nobody's stopping you. You can work how you want. You can marry when you want. You can get abortions when you want. You can get birth control when you want. So why are women so angry? Why does this even bother us, ladies? Why are you so angry about rhetoric you don't like, words you don't like, when we have the freedom to do anything? So anger can stem. So I Googled, where does anger come from? Anger can stem from intense emotions like fear, frustration, or pain. And what I realized is that women are in fear of losing their power because there is going to be a simp bubble that is popping soon. There is going to be a complete market crash. And it's starting to happen, and women are angry. Now, I'm going to get into that in a little bit, but what I realized is there are stages of grief to realizing that you are not the shit. Now, many women their entire lives have been told, I am the shit, I am amazing, and you see this in the media, in messaging, and even in the conservative movement. Now, I will always hear how amazing, how special, how awesome women are over and over and over and over again. So when someone comes along and says, no, you're average looking and you're really not the shit, women don't just go through anger, they go through depression, grief, really. Can you guys imagine? Now, Personally, I had brothers to remind me constantly that I was not the shit. Shout out Adam, shout out Austin. You guys are awesome, you know. Thank you for bullying me and keeping me humble. But imagine for women that were not bullied as children. They go to the school system, which tells us we are amazing, special, and awesome. We go to simps, which tell us we are amazing, special, and awesome. Again, you know, we go to our fathers who give us princess treatment. Women go their whole lives never being told the truth. And what you're seeing now is narcissistic women that have been told they are the shit their entire life, coming to terms with the fact that they are nothing more than an average person. So the stages of grief through this. And women, and you'll notice when this grief happens, they do the same shaming tactics that feminists use. Number one, denial. Denial looks a lot like not all women are like that. So when there's information that is given to men that makes women lose power, women are quick to say not all women are like that. Not all women are like the women on your Miami podcast. Not all women, not all women, not all women. Obviously, Rebecca. Obviously, Diane. Like, the women that claim they're so smart are not smart enough to have a conversation about a generality about society without making it about them. Because again, they are narcissistic. They have never been able to have a conversation in their life and not make it about them. So the next stage of grief is anger. Now, this is the phase that you will see a lot of these chicks in. And younger women, you know, maybe there's a young woman that watches me. I know it's mostly men, but you never know. Maybe there's a chick out there. Learn from this. Because if you make the same decisions that my generation of women made, millennials and higher, you will become just as angry, bitter, and terrible as them, truly. Truly. You know, I hope we can learn from this. You don't want to go through these stages of grief. So, stage 2 is anger. This is the you all hate women. You are pushing women apart with your evil rhetoric. Now, this could be rhetoric about women hitting the wall. You know, I'm 27. I'm walling, guys. I'm here in wall territory. But, you know, I just accept it. It's part of life. But these women want to deny. They will tweet me their selfies. This is anger. Pearl is the bad guy for pointing out men don't like single mothers, bitter women, annoying women. Like, again, then Pearl will be the bad guy. Bargaining. Now, the bargaining phase, this is the selfie apocalypse. This is, so, you know, the anger is that's not true. Women don't hit the wall. Women don't have that high of standards. No, none of that's true. It's the lack of men. Oh, that's what it is. Now, the bargaining is women, it's what I call the CEO of coping. COPE, cope. And they're bargaining. This is when women will tweet their selfies, their naked pictures, and start taking their clothes off to prove that they are still hot. Yes. Now, stage 4 is depression. Now, many times in the depression stage, women will play the damsel in distress. For example, when conservative female influencers say that their life is so hard because people are mean online. Oh, boo-hoo. Cry me a river. Freaking A. You'll see the danceling. You'll see the, oh, life is so hard. I'm a single mother. And ladies, maybe one day, and I'm telling you, life is better here when we can accept and just accept that the world is the way the world is. It's not the evil red pill, guys. None of this stuff would matter. None of this stuff would make women feel icky if we made the right choices. Unfortunately, when women make the wrong choices, which many times we do, instead of learning from it, We make it everybody else's problem. And they're in my replies on X. So, some shaming tactics that I have noticed that women do is go touch grass. Now, the number one tactic I have heard is you guys don't know what you're talking about. That's not women in the real world. So, hundreds of men all got together and found very similar patterns of behavior with women. And the response is to go touch grass. And this is typically said by women that are chronically online. Now, look, the average screen time is like 7 hours a day. Most people spend a significant time of their day on their phones. But somehow these women think that they are the CEOs of of touching grass, and they need to tell you all how to touch grass. The next shaming tactic I hear is the incel angry men. Well, Pearl, the men that watch you are just incels. Well, Pearl, they're just angry men. We're being too soft on these men. And what this shows is a lack of compassion. Instead of asking, which you would argue, this side, I don't think women are more nurturing, but this side certainly does. The nurturing women that always talk about how special and awesome and this amazing femininity that women have, the divine femininity, they show their femininity by not having compassion for the men and asking why they're angry, but shaming them for having anger. You too would probably be angry if you grew up in a society where they raise you to be a woman, they tell you all of the wrong information, and women haven't been particularly nice to you your entire life. That is the experience of many men. And instead of having compassion, the incel angry men. And to the women that are constantly saying incel, 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 okay, well, you could change it if you want. Maybe, I mean, are you going to go? And it's interesting because the same women that shame men for being incels also shame them for sleeping around. Which one do you want, ladies? Pick. Okay. Another thing I've noticed is we are supposed to be bringing men and women together. That is what the women say. But women are not willing to give up the power that would be able to bring men and women together. We need to bring men and women together. Okay, so fix family court. Oh, no, not that. No, don't do that. We're supposed to bring we are supposed to bring men and women together whenever there's information that makes women look bad. Not all information makes us look great, ladies. The 1 out of 3 of us having an abortion, 1 out of 3 of us having an STD, the average age of marriage being 32, 30, something like that. The obesity rate. There's a lot of things that just don't make us look great. And instead of, getting together and saying, all right, ladies, how can we fix this? We say, oh, men, you're fueling the gender war. Well, you know what would fix the gender war? The treadmill. I mean, it starts there. Like 70% of us are overweight. Okay. The next thing they do is they somehow insinuate that the red pill is promoting polygamy and sexism. I hate to break it to you, ladies, but women are the ones choosing polygamy. Please do not come to me crying about how the red pill is choosing polygamy because Andrew Tate says some stuff. When Andrew Tate kind of promotes that sort of thing, which is one person, not the entire group. But you guys don't have the same energy for the women who did not save themselves for marriage. Only 3% of women are doing that. Now, I'm not saying right or wrong, but I'm saying you sure have a lot of energy for the men when the women are doing the same thing. And when women talk about doing it, it's always, oh, let's put her on a podcast. Okay. The next thing they'll do is they'll try to make fun of serious concerns that men have. You'll see women poking fun at the fact that men want to protect themselves financially and legally, and make fun of the fact that you think all women are gold diggers. The evil women that just want to. Well, ladies, women are acting like gold diggers. And instead of, again, seeing, like, trying to understand where the men are coming from. If women are acting like gold diggers by putting men on child support, alimony, and taking half of their assets in divorce, do you blame men for treating us like them? Again, a better solution would be to think, how can we ease that anxiety from a guy? How can we ease that? Maybe a prenup, maybe, but instead they'll shame the men for wanting what they want. The next thing that women will say to me is, you are monetizing resentment. I'm a pretty happy gal. But again, you guys never ask, why are men resentful? You just shame them for having feelings. Shame them for feeling the way that they feel. Instead of asking the question of, why do men feel like that? At the same time, telling men to be more emotionally available. It's like, the next thing they do is attack the messenger. They will do this by finding myself, Myron, Tate, and many others. They will go through hours and hours of footage just to find any clips that they can use against us, because they cannot focus on the information being told. It is simply about the messenger. Now, again, many women are angry because they live in the past. And you see this by women constantly bringing up old shit. With me this week, they found some clip of me talking about an ex-boyfriend of mine that I was very sad about at the time. Years ago. But again, women live in the past, not the present, and that is why they are so angry. That's why they're so angry. The next thing they do is they shame men by saying, you are not a real man if you do not do X, Y, and Z. And typically, this X, Y, and Z is women simply training men. Then the next thing that women do is they shame men by saying, well, anyone can have a microphone. Yes, crazy bitches, but not everybody is going to listen. The people select the messenger. We don't pick who goes viral. The people pick who goes viral. So if there's a message that is resonating with people, instead of asking, why is it resonating with people, everybody comes out and shoots the messenger. These women are so narcissistic that they think they are almost the CEOs of the only ones that can own a microphone. But nobody's listening to you crazy ladies. Nobody. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about today is, so now that we have gotten through the shaming and the deflection that you have to go through to get to the information, is why are women so angry? Now I am going to go, oh shoot, I forgot to move my keys. Okay. Oh wait, I'm going to go over there, blessing. I'm going to go to the whiteboard. Oh shit. All right, fellas. All right, so today we're going to talk about, why are women so angry? So when the red pill talks about things, and by the way, all this is simply patterns of behavior. So all the men around the world, they might say, hey, my wife stopped sleeping with me after 2 kids too. Oh my gosh, your wife did that? Blessing, did you ever talk to another guy in the locker room and you both had the same experience with 2 different women?
Yep.
So men do this anyway. Did you know any red pill forums?
No.
I mean, this just like, Blessing like wandered into this stuff. He didn't even know what this was, right, Blessing?
Yeah.
So the men, they get together and they find out, one thing that old women equals problems. So they get together and they say, oh, we don't like the older women. Oh, shit. These older women have kids, other men's kids equals problems. All right. So they compare notes and they said, oh, your woman was cheating with the father of the kid too. Oh, okay. They get together and they realize women with toxic exes equals problems. And the more information, so the men get together. Where's my towel? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Blessing. What a gem. What a guy. So the men get together over here and they're talking. All right, so let's just, they all say this stuff. So smile. So they're all talking, they're getting together, and they come, these are just some stuff, right? But they realize, oh, women hit the wall at 30, I'm not going to get into the weeds. And the women over here, Guys, am I an artist? One in the chat if you just think I'm an amazing artist. Oh, thank you, Blessing. Hold on. All right. Okay. So, another example. The men get together and they realize, they said, I'll give you an example of a simp bubble that's currently collapsing. So the women got together and said, hey, to get what we want, we're going to make men wait 3 months for sex. And the men and before the men were talking, the men said, okay, that's fair. We can do that. Now, Blessing, how often is it that men wait 3 months for sex now? How often are men really willing to say, you know what, I'm going to give this girl 3 months to sleep with me?
Nada.
Why? Why does this not work anymore? Because the men got together and realized that this chick was making this guy wait, but sleeping with this guy right away. Now, this chick and this guy got together, right? So they got together here. Smile. This guy here. Let's just say. And this is the wife that's angry at Pearl who's talking. Because now this guy got bamboozled and he didn't know it. And if this guy gets this information, he'll figure out he's been bamboozled. So, the other thing that men are finding out, friend zone will never sleep with you. Blessing, how does the friend zone end for men?
Terrible.
So, before the women had more power. They could leverage the possibility of sex and get these guys to give free time and attention with no sex. They were happy. But when the men get together and talk, they figure out, oh, none of you slept with your friends for years. We're not doing this shit anymore. Another thing that men figured out is that whining and dining a chick right away isn't too good. That doesn't lead to sex. So what did the men stop doing, Blessing?
Trying.
Oh, that was funny. And so, then the women, they start losing the things that we got for free before. We start losing attention, free dates, even being asked out. These are all things that are skedaddle. Even OnlyFans, they posted their earnings recently. It's going down. There is a simp bubble that is going to pop because men are smart, unlike women. Sorry, this one I'm never getting back on YouTube. Sorry, I'm kidding YouTube. But, men, if they try something, women will try something over and over and over again, get terrible results and keep doing it. Men, on the other hand, they'll say, F this. I've asked these women out. They've said no repeatedly. I've been friends with these women. They don't sleep with me. We are done. We are walking away. Hold on. Oh, another thing that men are figuring out is that they're getting robbed. Now, this isn't, I guess, about sexual dynamics, but I want to explain why men are getting angry. So the men got together and talked, and they said, are the women at your workplace useless too? Oh my God, all they do is gossip? It's not just here. And women that have had credentials and PhDs and all of these things that make themselves feel special but are really useless, worthless, and propped up. The jig is up. People are figuring out, and a lot of these influencers are mad because they didn't really provide any value or unique takes other than being attractive. So, women are also losing looking good and their reputation. Because people are starting to figure out another thing, is that these Me Too accusations aren't real. These, harassment accusations, and all these tradcon women, did that to a lot of guys in the conservative movement. And now people are figuring out that none of that stuff was really true. And they're not these innocent victims they pretend to be. So these women are getting angry because men are starting to get the correct and accurate information. And it's making them mad. And so what'll they say? What do the women do? Women do one thing. There's one thing that women do better than men. And do you know what that is, Blessing?
What?
Come on, you know the answer. You know it.
Give it to me. I don't know.
Starts with a C.
See?
Yeah, C.
Complain.
Yup. So, because what other power do we have? It's not like we have, like the men have fists. Women, all we can do is complain. So that's why the women are so angry. That's why when Pearl, look at me, I'm happy over here. Obviously, none of the women hang out with me. Shocking. But when Pearl's talking about this stuff, they view me as a traitor because I'm giving away our power. I have betrayed everybody. So, and the other people that are angry are the men that got a bad deal. So when, the red pill comes out and we say, old women, not the best deal. Single mothers, not the best deal. Blah, 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 all that stuff. The men married to them, Blessing, how do you feel if you buy a product and you find out that you could have paid for half of that?
Oh, damn. I'll be mad.
People get mad. Men, there's nothing worse to a man's ego than figuring out that his wife, who he put in all this work to get, was giving it to this guy for free. That is hurtful to a man. So this is Bob and Sally over here. And Bob is figuring out, oh no, all of this is about to crush my entire worldview. And you know what they do? They make me the bad guy. So again, what do the women do when the simps? They have to complain. They complain, they complain, they complain. And that's what they'll do. They'll say, "Oh, you are incels. Oh, you're a woman hater." Da 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 da. Guys, all that means is you're stealing power. Even let's look at corn. Why do women get so mad about corn? They say it's destroying society. Is it really? I mean, I don't know, but I think it's pretty common. Blessing. And the men don't see it. They seem to be like functioning all right. But on the other hand, they're not really complaining about how women's social media addiction is ruining society. I don't see men leaving typically marriages for corn, but I see women leaving for social media all the time. Why, if the TradCon women were really worried about degeneracy, they were really worried about society being ruined, you would hear them complaining about social media far more than the corn addiction. But the difference is, again, corn makes women lose power. When the women have sex to leverage over the men, they can make the men do what they want. But if the men say, screw that, let me go look up Stormy Daniels online. I don't know who the big Lana Rhodes, Mia Khalifa, those are the ones I know. That makes the women lose power. When men figure out that women are actually more sexual than men, I would argue, the women lose power because they can't be these innocent victims. When men figure out how violent and manipulative women are, again, women lose power because the men can't be manipulated anymore. Let me see what else is on here. And lastly, I think I need to. The future is not bright for most women. Now, personally, I like women that want to win. Recently, I spoke to a woman who she was like 30 something, 37 or 38, and she saw the Red Pill podcast. And instead of getting angry, she said, "How can I win?" She downloaded the dating apps, went on a bunch of dates, and found herself a husband. Instead of getting mad at the information, like you miserable, lazy women, she took it and made her life better. Personally, I found red pill information very helpful. Finally, men were being honest about what they wanted. For me, it made my life a lot better and easier and got me the outcomes that I wanted. Now, freaking hold on. I can't. This is not erasing. But unfortunately for most women, someone said a tough pill to swallow. What's wrong with my vocals? F off, Austin Clea. The future is not bright for most women. And we are currently starting to see I can spell. The consequences for poor decisions. Again, 1 out of 3 women have had STD or abortion. 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4. It depends, which one you're asking, but you get the idea. Then we get college debt that nobody eventually is going to bail you out of. Inflation, being overall useless, not being able to do anything, cats, the list goes on and on. But the point of the matter is, guys, the women are mad because consequences are coming and they're in denial. Now, many women will still win. But for the time, sorry guys. But for the time being, most women will not. I'm going to come back. One in the chat if you think that I'm correct. 2 in the chat if you think I'm wrong. Wow, this chat is going. So, we're going to do a quick call in. I got to put my headphones back in. I'd like to hear from women. Is there 2 women watching? I want to do maybe like 2 call-ins. Why are women so angry? Genuine question. Please. Pearl can pull 200 pounds with that bat. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Okay. And that's my question. Why do women get so angry? You have it in the chat, Blessing? Thanks. What a guy. Okay, I'm gonna read new subscribers and I'm gonna read cash apps in the meantime. Do you want me to put it in or are you gonna put it in? I saw you sent me the link. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we have a new subscriber. Thank you to Nathan. I won't put and Tyrone. I won't put people's last names. Again, guys, if you want to support us, I don't know what we are going to do in the future. So please, please, please go to our website. You'll get first access to our documentaries and other original content. Also, at some point, we're going to take the last 30 minutes of the show and put it on the website. D. Miller says, LOL, you have a strong definition of... Oh, wait. Okay, let me look at the chat from the website. And I'm going to read the rules for... Adam says, please do some episodes analyzing old pre-gaming episodes from your earlier apartment to demonstrate these points. Those episodes were incredible, and I wonder if you ever go back and... Actually, that's a great idea, Adam. That's actually a great idea. I had to say that song was amazing. It's refreshing to hear a good song, not bashing the father. I would give more, but I'm buying a house tomorrow. That's all right, Nathan. Get your house. Andrew, he said, for the performance. Apparently we need more servers, according to the Audacity chat. Okay, so... Michael says, for love ya, Pearl. Thank you for the cash app. Michael said, oh, the same one. Grandy, thank you for the cash app. I think that's... Oh, my other phone. Oh, it's over here. I think I get notified. All right. All right. So I'd like to talk to women right now because I want to ask the women, why are women so angry? Why? What's the why? Why are women so angry? Is there anyone that called in or no?
No, yet.
All right. Let me... Mm, hold on. Because, it's one thing to disagree. You can totally disagree with people and not be angry. But what I have noticed is for whatever reason, the information that I say makes people angry. It makes women upset. Why? We live in the most free society ever. We can do whatever we want. But why are women angry? You said someone's on? Ladies, I want to ask you. Oh, wait, let me say the rules for it. Guys, I need to see your face and I need to see your hands. I don't know any weird shit going on. So hands and face. Um, don't overtalk me. Please answer the question that I asked. And what other rules do we have? We gotta write these down so I remember them. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I might remember some more later, but yeah. Hello, what's your name?
Hi, my name is Stephanie.
Oh,
I'm out of Houston, Texas.
nice. So, what is your answer to the question? Why are women so angry?
It's funny because in the other room, my boyfriend's actually watching your video,
Mhm.
and you ask that question, and I just come out with, I don't know. Like, and I hear you say, oh, you could call in. I'm like, wait, I could actually call in and talk to Pearl and actually just answer her.
Yeah.
Honestly, women, I feel like we're complicated, but we're not complicated,
Mhm.
and we overcomplicate things. In reality, there's no reason to be angry.
Yeah. And what do you
Like,
did
go on,
you
I'm sorry.
no, no, it's good. Did you learn that like from your family? Do you feel like you were raised like differently?
I feel like definitely. I think values and especially a culture makes a big difference. I think within my family values, of course, we value family and we value respect. And especially, I feel like being in a long term relationship for 10 years, it has taught you, it's a give and take. You can't always be angry and bitter. Like, I understand somebody he might have made you upset and you're driving home. Like, you have the option to choose how you want to think about it.
Mm,
You could either think about it like, okay, go and talk to him, or sit here and be bitter and be petty and go home and start doing X, Y, and Z. But in reality, it's as simple as having a conversation or just talking to them and not sitting there and being bitter. And I feel like that's what women do. We sit there and we bicker and we bitter. And like you said, like we want this and we want that. But at the end of the day, it's a give and take. You want to have fancy dinners. Okay, well, are you making your man dinner at home so where
yeah.
he saves money so he could take you out?
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you think this entitlement comes from? Like sorry, you said you're in Texas, right?
Yeah.
So is that common there too?
I I want to say yes and I want to say no just because you have an influx of people coming from other states
Right.
and you see they're trying to change the mentality of what we have here down in the south. So
Mm,
I think depending if you grew up here and you have those values, definitely. But if you're, of course, from somewhere else and you have different values, and you're going to try to kind of bring that over here and portray that. In reality, it's not. Like we have our own culture down south.
yeah. No, I've noticed that. I love Texas. I might move there this year. We'll see. Well, thank you for calling in.
No, definitely. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Um, so ask her. Well, what question? If you guys had more questions, um, again, you know, why? Where is the anger coming from? What? You can disagree, but do we really need all the name calling? Do we really need to say, I get it. You could say Pearl. Old fat whores are exactly what men want. And you could argue the case. There's someone in the chat says Pearl's angry about women. Not really. I mean, guys, this weekend I'm going to play volleyball with like 15 chicks. I'm not angry about women. I just see reality. Sometimes I'm still a woman, you know what I mean? But again, why are we so angry? Is anyone on?
Yep.
Hey, Pearl.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I've been listening to you for a long time, and you went missing for a while off of YouTube.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was like your feed. It didn't come across. You didn't come across my feed for quite a while. I had to search for you.
Yeah, well, we were trying to get remonetized. We took a lot of stuff down, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So where are you from? Where are you at?
I'm from Georgia, from the Atlanta area.
Mm.
And I got started on this track of studying, and I wrote a book on this, on the poisons that are in our food and in our water, and that study leads me to this hypothesis.
Mm.
I don't know this to be a fact, but I just have an idea that we're the most industrialized as far as our agriculture. We industrialize our agriculture more than any other country. We put more stuff on our agriculture than any other country. We've got glyphosate is the number one culprit, which keeps all of our trace minerals out of our food.
Mm.
We don't get trace minerals. That causes brain problems. Causes hormone problems. You have hormone issues if you don't get the right trace minerals in your food. And then, of course, women have been on the pill since the 60s, and we've recycled our water. Those hormones that are in the pill that women piss out, that doesn't come out when it goes back through the water system and recycles. It's in our water.
Mm.
It's in the tap water that we drink. And that's going to, I believe, that's going to have an effect on women more so than men, because it's estrogen.
Right.
You know? And of course, the testosterone in men has been on decline for decades.
Mm.
So I just have an idea that that's probably not the entirety of the cause, but I think it's a contributing factor. All of the poisons that are in our food, the hormones that are in our water, it's messing people's minds up. And when you go to other countries, and I've been to 36 countries.
Mm-hmm.
Most of those countries don't do the same thing to their food and to their water. And a lot of those countries, they don't drink tap water like we do. They drink they drink bottled water. A lot of it out of mountain streams. Like if you go to Thailand and the Philippines,
yeah,
they drink bottled water.
Mm. So you think it's mostly the food?
I think food has a lot to do with it, because especially if you look into what glyphosate does to the food, it takes the trace minerals out of the food before it becomes food. Mm. And we as human beings, without trace minerals, our glands are all messed up. Our hormones are all screwed up. Because we have to have trace minerals, and if you're not taking a good supplement, you're not getting it at all. A lot of people don't supplement their food, with vitamins and such. So over time, it's just going to screw the mind up. Mm. And like I say, I think it probably has an effect on women, because women are just more emotional than anyway. Mm-hmm. to begin with, and it's like they've lost their mechanism of controlling their own emotions. And I've been through it with a lot of American women. And then there are some, like I suspect you know, you seem pretty even keeled. So there are some that are going to be have a strong constitution and are not going to be affected by it.
Mm.
But you're posing the question: why are women so angry? Well, it's there's quite a large number of women who are, and that's my hypothesis anyway.
So you think it's the food and the water and the birth control?
Food and water, part of it. And of course, society plays a role in it too.
Right.
Just allowing women to get away with, whatever they want. If you shorter sentences to the same crime, or no sentence at all to the same crime. Of course, that's going to play a role. And I mean, when I was married, I'm remarried now. I'm married to a very nice Thai lady. I was married for 19 years, and my wife, my ex-wife, she would beat the crap out of me like with a living room lamp. She just pick up a living room lamp, start whacking me. Oh yeah, she just whacked me in the head with it, and there was nothing I could do. And here's a quick story. I called the police when we were living in Round Rock, Texas. I called the police. I got away from her and called the police because she was blocking the doors, and she had my son turned against me, and they would, without a physical confrontation, I couldn't get out of the house. So I called the police. When the police showed up, I had a lump on my head. I'd been clawed, marks on my neck, and she had not been hit, right? They asked her if I hit her.
Wow.
They didn't ask me. Yeah. I was obviously injured. But they didn't inquire if I had been hit. They asked her if I had hit her. And no, I hadn't hit her. I just let her waylay me with a lamp, and I've talked to many men who've had the same thing happen. The same thing happened to my brother. He got beat with a wine bottle, with a full wine bottle, by his ex-wife, his third wife. So.
And were the women always like that, or did that sort of happen over time?
I think it just happened over time. I don't think women were always that way.
No, I meant in your marriages. Like, did they do that early on, or did that happen over time?
That happened over time. It happened over time. I mean, to begin with, she was cool. She was a little bossy. But she didn't get violent until she didn't get violent until we'd been married for probably 13, 14 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And she started getting to the point where she would pick something up and whack me with it, wake me up out of a dead sleep.
What was it? Do you think she was always like that and hiding it, or do you think it was just like spite that just like built up? Like what? I'm just curious where you think that came from.
It was probably something built up over time. It was resentment over, things. You know how it is when you're married for a long time. Things happen, and you can't. You can't prevent things from happening, and she had a lot of resentment towards me for different things, and she just let it build up. She couldn't let it go. She couldn't let things go. I mean, one for instance, right after we first got married, she had a cat that went missing. She thought I did something to the cat, and and I just dropped it. But every once in a while, she would bring that back up. And then later on, after many years, it was that it became a serious problem. She thought I had mental problems because she thought I killed her cat. She thought I got rid of her cat.
Right.
And that's just one example. And I never did anything to her cat. Her cat got out, and ran away. You know, um,
Yeah, so but you think it was the resentment that it just built up and she just became like crazy, basically. I see
right.
that a lot with chicks where it's like, how old was she when she did it the first time? I'm curious.
She was probably, I want to say she was just into her 40s.
Yeah, that's
Just,
around. Yeah.
yeah, maybe a little better than 40.
Mm.
Yeah. But I still think that, I mean, it was, of course, that, but a woman who has her faculties intact
Mm.
um, is not going to hold a grudge on things like that. On these small things, and 1,000 small things over a period of time become a big thing.
Right.
Uh, and if it weren't for the imbalance in hormones, and I think the chemicals and the uh, feminism in general, it's like all of the above. It's all of the things. It's what I mentioned. It's what you talk about. It's the feminism. It's the things on TV with women treating their men like dumbasses. It's all of these things combined. Uh, we're just not a society currently that is conducive to marriage and family life.
Mm.
The marriage laws. I got out by the skin of my teeth, and I'll tell you how I got out of the divorce without losing anything.
Okay.
In fact, I got custody of my daughter. My daughter was 12 at the time, and I got custody of her because when we actually went through divorce, I had caught wind that my wife. We'd been separated for a long time. My wife was prostituting herself. My ex-wife was. She had been prostituting herself.
Oh shit.
On these websites, on these escort websites.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody let me in on it. I took screenshots of her advertisements on these escort websites, and I had my attorney show it to her attorney, and her attorney told her that she was not going to represent her anymore in the divorce. Her attorney just quit, and so I ended up. She ended up just settling for what I wanted, which was custody of my daughter and a very small child support. I wanted $200 a month child support, which she never paid. And that's another thing too, is that in Georgia, I call when somebody is delinquent on child support, there's a line that you call. It's from the Secretary of State's office. The name of when they answer the phone, they say "Deadbeat Dad Hotline."
Wow.
So the Deadbeat Dad Hotline. Okay. So I said, yeah, my wife's not paying child support. I want to report that. She said, well, who's the deadbeat dad? I said, there is no deadbeat dad. There's a deadbeat mom. The girl was absolutely confused. The girl I talked to, she just couldn't wrap her head around the idea that there was a woman who had to pay child support and wasn't. So it ended up I never got any child support. I only wanted $200 a month.
Mm.
That's all I asked for. She never paid a dollar.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the laws are stacked against
A hooker. Men. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, she become a hooker. Yeah,
wow.
She become a hooker.
And what was she? What was she like when you met her?
When we first met, she was real pleasant. She would have moments, and I should have seen these as red flags, where she would pick an enemy, somebody close to her. She would pick an enemy and just run this person over cold. Just all of a sudden she would get really mad at this person and just hate them. She wasn't that way with me for a long time, but she would be that way with her, with one of her sisters, and then she'd get over it. She'd be that way with another sister, and then she'd get over it, and it'd be with her cousin. Then she'd get over that, and it'd be her mother. And so she always had somebody that she was in some kind of a tiff with. And I should have seen that red flag, but I didn't because she never directed it at me. So, but she always had to have some kind of conflict going on with somebody close to her. And when she ran out of people in her immediate family, she directed it at me. So I learned all the red flags, and this lady in Thailand, and I've been over there several times, and we've been to other countries several times, and for her to watch the red flags, and she doesn't get mad at anybody. She doesn't get mad at anything. She never badmouths anybody. She never says a bad word about any person. My wife, who's in Thailand now, we're trying to get her over here. I'm eventually going to end up in Thailand. I don't want her to come over here and stay. I'm going to go over there. But I am trying to get her a visa to come over here for a little while. But yeah, going to different countries, there's a stark difference in everything. And the reason why I started thinking that there might be a problem with our food is because as a future expat, I follow a lot of expat channels on YouTube, and there's a large number of people who leave the United States and go to other countries, and magically their autoimmune diseases go away. They don't change anything. They don't change their eating habits, but their autoimmune diseases go away. They lose weight. They don't change nothing about their eating habits or their exercise habits, and just they're eating there and not here. And these people lose weight. They, I've listened to people who got off of insulin they're supposedly diabetic, and they get off of insulin from not eating the food that's grown here. It's widespread. It's not just like anecdotal evidence. It's like there's a lot of people that do that when they go to other countries. And I have, and even now, I just spent last October. I spent 2 weeks. I spent 2 weeks in Thailand, and I have a dry skin problem. I have it's severe. It's a serious dry skin problem. That just magically went away. And I don't know if it was the climate or if it had something to do with the food I was eating over there. But as soon as I came back over here, it started again.
It started to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So modern women are angry because of the food and birth control society feminism.
Yeah. so there. I just gave you some new stuff to research.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much for calling in. I'm going to take the next caller, okay? Wow. But see, the reason I was asking him that question, some people were saying off topic. So many times people say, hey, just pick a good woman. Most men, when they're in marriages like that, it starts off as not abusive. And later, and women, we really need to learn something from this. If we do not learn to let things go, we become crazy demonic bitches. It's not, look at I'm no better than any chick, all right? It's hard for us to let things go, but we got to figure out how, All right, is there anyone on next? I think I'll take one more. Hello.
Hi.
Where are you at?
So I'm actually from China.
You're in where?
China.
Oh, you're in China? I have people watching me in China. Wow, that's so cool. So why do you think modern women are angry?
Well, to be honest, I'm one of the women who sometimes cannot accept the concept. I guess maybe a lot of the content is a lot of people's world, but I feel like I don't really perfectly
Gosh, I wish I could hear you better. Your mic isn't working too well. Is it?
now.
Oh, is it me? Or did you?
Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, so basically, I'm one of those women who sometimes has issues with your content.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's because a lot of your content is very centered around like Western women,
Mhm.
problems in the Western world. But I think it doesn't really take into account women in other countries. So to give you an example, like when you said that sexism doesn't exist,
Mhm.
I mean, I can't speak for the West per se, but in China, it definitely does. I mean, there's the issue of sex selective abortions,
Mhm.
female infanticide, and if you look at the gender ratios between men and women, right now in children, well, not children, but people aged below 19 in China, the ratio of men to women is like 110 to 100. And if you take into account the whole population of China, which is 1 billion, that's a huge discrepancy between the gender ratios of men and women. So why does this
So
happen? Well,
so I have a question. Why do you? I'm just curious. Why do you watch an American show and expect it and make it about China?
well, because
Like
your content is accessible throughout the world, and it's not just China. I mean, India has the same problems. Pakistan. There are a
Mhm.
lot of countries that have this sex selective abortions and
Mhm.
people abandoning their female children on the street because they're considered less valuable.
Mhm. Right, but I mean, women are the ones getting abortions, so that's not
That's not
really.
true. That's not true. My relative,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I don't want to
Well,
disclose which one, but
how
basically
else would you get an abortion? But go ahead.
sometimes their husbands kick their stomachs or
Mm-hmm.
they take their children away and throw them out on the street.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much a systemic issue as well. It's not just a decision between the man and the woman,
Mm-hmm.
because in a lot of Asian countries, you don't just marry the person, you marry their family.
Right.
And when their family says that you have to get an abortion, you have to get it. There's no other choice.
Okay, but again, like you're bringing an American show into like Chinese issues. And I'm not
Right.
trying to be rude, but it kind of goes back to my point where like women tend to take information and make it personal. Because when I
This is
talk,
not
I
personal, this is
always
national.
when
It's
I
international. It feels
right,
international.
right. But when I talk, I always preface like that we're talking about the West. I live in the West.
So would you acknowledge that sexism does exist in other parts of the world?
I can't speak to countries that I've never been to. I've never been to China. Based on what you're
But you've been
telling
to
me,
India, right? You mentioned previously in a video you've been to
when I
India.
went to India, my experience was not that I found sexism. I actually spoke to a lot of from what I understand, the dowry system there is used against men. So, because a lot of times I know they cite the divorce stats there are very low, but I know there's more to it, and the legal system does discriminate against men there. So that's
Yeah,
what I know. I'm not an expert in India. I've been to India once for like 2 weeks when I was
right.
18.
Right. But even I agree with you that a lot of institutions are actually sexist against men, like
Mhm,
divorce court. That happens everywhere. Even in China, the
mhm,
divorce court is sexist against men. But how
mhm.
the laws play out in reality in society is not always like how it is on paper. So for
So,
instance, sex selective abortion is illegal, but it
mhm.
happens.
So what in China, if you want to get an abortion, as a woman, is there something? There's nothing
A lot
stopping
of it
you.
is done backdoor. People either just kick the woman's stomach, give them some
Is it
poison.
illegal there now?
It's supposed to be illegal, but
Oh
the
no way!
authorities don't
It's
pick them
illegal in
up.
China. I had no idea.
It's yeah, it's illegal, but people like
Hmm.
it's not enforced because it's happening everywhere. It happens. It's so
Hmm.
widespread.
Hmm. Okay, but if women, it doesn't really seem like a gendered issue to
It
me.
is a gendered issue
Hmm.
because 99% of people who are given up at adoption agencies are girls.
Hmm.
99% of abortions are, sex selective abortions are women. I haven't heard of anyone who has said, "My person
I
is
guess
done, so
what
I need to."
I'm saying is that the women are the ones getting the abortion,
Not true.
it
Not if your
doesn't.
husband kicks your
Well,
stomach
it,
or
it doesn't. It doesn't seem like legally there's something that they put a gun to someone's head and make them get it.
yeah,
That's what.
legally it
Yeah.
isn't. That's my
Okay.
point. But socially, it's not desirable to have a daughter. That's why people get rid of it.
Mhm.
Like my relative was thrown out on the street, and it wasn't her mother who made that decision. The
Mhm.
in-laws and the husband took the child out and threw
Mhm.
them on the street. Now I have a missing relative. I don't know where she is, but
Mhm.
I know that she was gotten rid of because she was a daughter.
Mhm. Well, again, I'm not just like, I'm not, I can't speak to China. I've never been to China, but it's an American show. So, it's like we're talking about Britain, maybe the US. It's not really to do with
Right.
China.
But this type of thing happens in like for example, Pakistani or Chinese communities
Mhm.
overseas as well.
Mhm.
Even in Western countries, there were honor killings of people who killed your daughters because they talked to a guy or whatever. You don't hear this type of stuff
Mhm.
with sons, for instance.
No, I've
So I'm not saying
actually,
that
what's
Western.
interesting? I've actually heard that people do, like that women will kill some, like I've heard that they found like male bones of like aborted children under orphanages before.
Of course, there will be
Mhm.
some
No,
sons who are
I've heard it
like
was like
responsible.
exclusively male. I'm not looking
Where-
at, I can't remember what part of the world that was. It was from like the 1700s. This wasn't like in this century.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I've heard the opposite. So it's interesting that you're saying that because I've not in China, but I've just heard that women will abort children that are men.
Right. Again, I'm not denying that, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that male sexism, discrimination against men doesn't exist. I'm just saying that both
Mm,
discrimination against men and women can coexist. So just because
mhm.
men are being discriminated against doesn't mean that women have it better all over the world, and there's no downside to being a woman at all. I just think that that's very extremist.
Yeah, but again, in the West, I would say there's no. I've never been to China. I can't speak to China, but I would say in the West, there's virtually no downside to being a chick. In
Okay, well,
America, you have
I think that it's important.
easier jobs,
Right.
you have more scholarships. You pay less taxes. Like I literally can't think of one benefit that we do not have. Like I can't think of one disadvantage that women have in the West.
Okay, again, I can't speak to the West because I've never lived there long term.
Hmm.
But I just think that when you do your content, it is catered to a worldwide audience, right?
Hmm.
A lot of people watch you.
Yeah.
I'm from China, I
Mhm.
watch you. I've had
Mhm.
friends who have also seen your content.
Mhm.
And so I think it's important to show that there's also another side to it.
Mhm.
There's definitely discrimination against women that exists somewhere in this world. And I
Mhm.
think to just make blanket statements like, that sexism doesn't exist, women have it better. I just think
What's
that's
wrong with
counterproductive.
blanket statements? Why is that wrong?
Because women also face sexism, for instance.
Right, but not in the West. So I'm saying like,
Yeah, but you don't
why do
say
you?
that every
So
single time.
why do you? Right, because like I generally think that the audience is smart and can make inferences. So like my question is like, why do you go on a show and tell people how to talk? Like, what's the
I'm not
purpose?
telling you how to talk. I mean, you're asking why some
Mm-hmm.
women get angry.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't agree with calling people names. I like to, maintain some level of
Mhm.
respect, even if I disagree
Mhm.
with someone. But I just wanted to come on here to say that's
Mhm.
why
Mhm.
I disagree with some of your content.
Mhm.
And I can see how it makes some people angry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Like even in Western civilizations, there are many communities that, like pockets of Indian, Pakistani, Chinese communities where this type of sexism also does happen. So even in
right,
the
but
West, you
I
can't
talk
say
about
every single woman has the same.
rule, not exceptions. So when I'm
Right, but
talking,
just now even yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
When I'm talking about the rule. I'm not talking about exceptions.
Right. But even just now,
Mm.
earlier in this podcast, you said that because Andrew Tate promotes like having multiple partners,
Mhm.
but that's just one person in the red pill
Mhm.
space.
Mhm.
So in that case, you're saying that we shouldn't generalize all red pill content creators.
No,
But then
no,
you're
no,
saying
no.
that
That's not what I said. I said that the majority of red pill content creators would not promote that. That would not be the majority.
I don't think
That would
it's
not be. That would not
I
be if
don't
you
think.
took 10 creators that like 6 or 7 would promote it.
So which ones
So
don't?
it's just not accurate.
Right.
So that's what I was talking about. It's just not an accurate assessment. But so again, when we have conversations, we have to talk about things in general. I understand there's exceptions, but I think it's obvious when I'm from America and I live in the UK, I'm not talking about China.
Okay, because you always talk about how you've been to many places around the world and you've seen more of the world than most people. And
It's
so
true.
I was
That's
expecting that
true.
you would have a more worldly view on this
Yeah,
issue.
well, not China. I've never been to China.
Okay,
So,
but you can acknowledge that we can at least end on the middle ground that
Uh-huh.
sexism can exist in China, right?
I don't know. It might, according to what you're saying, but I don't know.
You can check up the stats. The stats are there. I mean, the
Mhm.
gender ratios,
Mhm.
the sex selective abortion rates,
Okay.
the number of male versus female people abandoned in orphanages. I mean, you can check that up. It's factual. So this
Mhm.
isn't an opinion.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for calling in.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for listening to me.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
China. Isn't that crazy? I did not think anyone was. That's the funny thing. I literally did not think anyone watches me in China. China mandates their birth rates. I don't know. I can't. Just goes to show the Chinese feminist gaslighting is no different than the Western feminist gaslighting. It might. I don't know. Blessing, have you been to China?
I'm international, fam.
No, have you been to China?
Nah, I never been to China. I want to go though.
Yeah, I don't know.
Any Chinese people want to give me some flights to China? You're welcome.
Yeah. Can we go to China? Do they have laws there that'll? I don't want to get thrown in jail like some reporters. Sorry, that's probably very ignorant. I don't know. I don't know what okay, guys. I heard that Neon almost got arrested in Dubai. I'm like, I am being careful.
There's one more way.
Wait, let me see the chat. Hold on. Women are angry, Nathan Rodriguez, because the men that would normally take advantage are catching on. They would normally take advantage of our catching on to the BS. Okay. And we'll do one more caller, then I'm going to bed, guys. It's getting late.
Woo!
Oh, no way. What up,
Pearl in this
Chica?
house. We got Pearl in the house. We got Pearl in the house.
Hey, Chica, how are you?
Pearl. Hey. Good to see you, man. That girl was annoying. Okay, now that that's out there, the question was, why are women so mad? And first of all, you deserve a Medal of Honor for your patience and grace with these stuff. I just wanted to take a shovel to some of these girls. It's just ridiculous. So the thing is, when women are angry because they're getting found out, and you can actually see this, it's a very animalistic reaction when you see a person behaving this way in person, but it's basically they know they're being found out and they try and squiggle their way out of it. But we made a video of where do you find a good woman? You find them in church. Do you find them in the library? Where do you find them?
I saw that one.
Yeah, you can't find them anywhere. And we're really looking forward to talk to you. But the crux of the issue is that when women are revealed, they cannot hide their true nature, and it lashes out. It's a violent nature, and basically they're angry. What I was telling Joel is because they're jealous. Because there's the new term. It kind of came about when you were coming around. Is she's a pick me,
right?
Why would girls say that you're a pick me? If you're not a pick me, you're a skip me. You're one or the other. So they are envious. They're like, oh, I see everything they say about you, and it's really, when I was coming into the conservative movement, it was men's level-headedness that compelled me to it.
Yes.
I would talk to a woman. I was raised lefty feminist, you name it, I wasn't, right? So, and I noticed that Trump, for example, was saying stuff and they were calling him all of these names. And I said, they're telling me what to think about the man, but they're not just showing him speak and letting me think for myself, right? They're saying you should think this and you should think that. And this is what feminists do. You should think Pearl is this and you should think Pearl is that, instead of just let Pearl speak and let the audience make its mind up for itself. So when I would play devil's advocate, they would just foam at the mouth, these women, right? The leftist women just would foam. I would just say, hey, what do you think about this notion or that notion? Or just play devil's advocate. And they would go rabid, they would go wild. And that's really a tell sign of a woman losing her power. Just like you said, you really hit the nail on the head.
Mhm.
And that's why we love watching you. You're so based, you're so on it.
Mhm.
They are the foundation that they stand on isn't made of marble. It's made of like sparkles and fairy dust. It's not real. It's completely manufactured. And once reality comes to the West, like the West is bubbled, it's a total bubble nation. When the real world comes to the West, ladies, you're going to have a reality check. They say have videos up online like, I'm rabbit trailing, but like,
Mhm.
oh, this boy just saw this woman getting robbed, and he didn't do anything about it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you're equal, lady. Like, what do you
Yeah.
want? You're equal now, right? So this is what you wanted. This is what you're getting, and this kind of ties into the transgender issue. Like, we know you have this hobby, and it's kept you fit and kept you out of trouble. But the reality is that women don't need to be in sports. If you want to be equal, then here you got equal sports. Like,
Yeah.
you don't complain about it. So when I was entertaining, like, kind of approaching lefty women with these ideas, like questioning them, maybe trying to have the conversation like you do, they would just lose their ish, right? And when I spoke to the men, they would just be very level headed,
Even if
very
they
like,
even if they disagree, it's like, oh, okay, I
exactly.
disagree. Yeah.
They're like, well, this is why I think you're wrong, and this is why I think I'm right. And what do you think about these numbers? And what do you think? I'd be like, oh, this is so respectable. He's actually like reasoning with me.
Mhm.
And, one thing that women will say to a married woman like myself, they'll say, oh, she's just brainwashed. This poor soul, she's so brainwashed.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, brainwash is what happens when you only hear one side of the argument and you don't hear the other side, right? And then but the men's side is the one that's being silenced. So how could you tell? It's just ridiculous. It's so much psychopathy. You really have to like psychoanalyze everything a woman says in order to get to what she really means. And man, it goes on and on and on. But like they say, you're being brainwashed. Don't listen to that little person trying to brainwash you. Listen to me trying to brainwash you. Another perfect example of a woman getting angry is you saw Lauren Southern,
Oh,
right? She just
God.
went on a blocking spree.
I
Bitch went
got
on a
blocked.
blocking
I
spree.
couldn't believe it. I was like, you put me in your video.
Oh yeah,
And I
so
get blocked.
disingenuous too. So disingenuous. You just like, it wasn't even like a 10-second clip. It was like, it was so obvious that it was
Yeah.
contrived. But she just went on a blocking spree. Why is Lauren Southern going on a blocking spree? Because she been found out.
Yeah.
She's a single mother. She's hitting the wall. Whatever.
Yeah, she like Me Too'd everybody and then like did the video on her ex-boyfriend. And so people
And
are
the men
figuring
aren't
out it's
buying
like full of shit. Yeah. Yeah.
and the men aren't buying anymore. And so there's this parable that Joel and I like to talk about. By the way, we have a channel, guys. It's Western Culture Through God's Eyes. Pearl will tell you guys about it.
Yeah, I found it. It's actually, I loved your video on women's purpose should be a man, not children. I'd never thought about it that way, but I was like, that is so
Yeah.
true, because women that have children with men and don't make the man their purpose, they hate the man. And so a lot of times they hate the kids too. So it's like, I was like,
Yeah.
it's actually more important for a girl to be with a guy that she loves than the kids. Because if you don't, it's like, I mean, these women resent their children. They're like mad that they're there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it wreaks havoc on your immediate family, but sin or crime, as we would have it, hurts people. It's like a ripple effect. It hurts everybody. It hurts the person your child will interact with and the person that person will interact with. So it's really, a lot of the red pillars are, that's why we're so looking forward to have a sit down with you, because a lot of the stuff that people talk about that they think they're being really meta about, they're actually being really shallow about. There's a difference between being based, which is being brutally honest and straightforward, and being basic. And being basic is being very animalistic and like resolved into your animal side. And we're really called to be more like angels. Like, we have devices that animals don't have. And women are not good at navigating those devices, which is why we need men so desperately. Like, we are lower down on the chain, right? You always say this: God, men, women, children, and below children is animals. So it's just like women are actually more animalistic than men. Women like to say that men are the animalistic ones. Oh, he's just an animal. Oh, he's just.
It's all projection. Right? It's all projection.
It is.
Yeah.
100%. But it's because women are the animalistic ones. And so if for the men watching this, to reveal a woman's rage, you have to have the conversation on submission early on. Like, you can't wait. You can build chemistry, right? You can have some, you build a connection, of course, but you can't wait too long to have the conversation on submission, because she can't hide her true colors when you talk about submission. She will either lash out, or she will be like, oh, wow, like, what do you expect of me then? Because when I grew up, I never heard of submission spoken about in a favorable light, of course, right? It was, oh, you're going to be a slave. Oh, you're going to be a lesser than. Well, guess what? I am lesser than. I have a smaller body. I have smaller muscles. I have a smaller frame. I'm entirely at this man's mercy. I have a smaller brain. That's another thing. Women like to say, oh, the men are just bigger. They're just stronger than us. Well, if they're bigger, they have bigger bones and they have bigger muscles. Mm-hmm. They have a bigger brain, lady. Sorry to break it to you. They have bigger brains. Okay. And if their brain is superior, that means your brain is inferior. And so the only women who get offended are the women who are being revealed, who are being found out. And so they just kind of want to smack it out of you. Say, stop shining the light on me. I don't want to be found out. I don't want to be seen. But this is part of female nature that we need to work on. It's the hanging on to qualities that we identify with very heavily, but aren't actually healthy. So what women don't realize is that they think that men don't want them when they're older because they're less hot. But it's not even about the look so much. Men are so gracious.
Yeah. Some guys say they can't even tell the difference. I mean, they can, but they're not that picky. It's not.
Women are indoors more than ever. You got the Botox, you got the thing. Women look better now than they did for a long time. It's not about the look so much for the guy. It's about being moldable. And when you are set in your ways for so long and you're stuck and you're settled into this ideology, then it is harder to correct yourself. Joel and I got married when I was 27, and I think I practice a little better introspection than most. Not great. I made my mistake. I took my L's, my fair share of L's too, right? But now I realize, like, oh, I am like, if I'm ever feel myself like trying to defend myself or something like that, I'm like, wow, I'm really like, this person loves me. Women don't know how to receive love. Mm-hmm. Right? Because they're told they constantly have to defend themselves or something. So they don't know the art of just letting go and allowing themselves to mold to a man. They think that they're a separate entity from their husband. Oh, no, you do your ish. You do your shit and I do my shit. Sorry, I'm so PC sometimes, YouTube, but whatever.
You're fine.
You do your shit. I do my shit. We're two separate entities. Like, I have my identity. You have your identity. But it's beholden on the woman to let go of her identity so the man's identity can become what it was always meant to be, and she can mold to him, and together they can achieve his purpose, which, our prerogative is God's purpose. Mm-hmm. But that, regardless of what that may be, financially, passionately, entrepreneurially, that's the woman's thing. And so they don't want to let a piece of themselves die so that it can be reborn into the man's shadow, mm-hmm. right? Because women are constantly, they're very covetous, right? It's always the art of overcompensation for women. So that is why women are so angry, because they're trying so hard to appropriate men. They're trying so hard to overcompensate, and they're still not managing to do the job.
You know what's funny? I came to a lot of these conclusions not at all through a religious point of view. Mm-hmm. But I found that a lot of the conclusions I come to, even people of different faiths, if they're really into the scripture, they actually agree with me. But it's funny because I came to a lot, even the lesser than, I was just like, how can we look at Elon Musk and Kim Kardashian and not think that like we can't do what they do? I'm like, all we have is sex workers, guys. This is sad. And I'm
It's
like,
becoming mainstream. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, and so no, it's funny when I get, because I know you and your husband, like you have the religious background. Like I watched one of your streams a while ago, and he was like talking about all this like religious text and super in depth. It was super interesting. It's how I found you guys. And yeah, I was like, wow, they have all the same beliefs in a way. But I came to it like not from a religious like point of view is the funny thing. I think a lot of these beliefs you can literally just come to from like looking at the world.
It's nature.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The creator's design, his laws are entwined in his design. You can't separate the two. And what people don't realize is that feminism is a religion. It's a religion. It's a religion that supersedes any other religion. It's a religion that suffocates any other ideology that you profess to claim underneath it. It doesn't let anything else grow beneath it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be a feminist Jew or a feminist Christian or a feminist whatever. If you're a feminist, every ideology has to fit in that paradigm because that's the ruling. And that's honestly the religion of the West right now. People say, I'm not religious. I'm an atheist. Okay, that's your religion then. Oh, I'm not religious. I'm an evolutionist. That's your religion. Then everything is a religion. Religion just means a set of beliefs that you hold yourself to.
Even feminism, I was thinking it's almost the most demonic one because it inverts the natural order. Like that's what it's doing. It's putting women on top of men. And it's like we're all playing pretend. Even I was thinking about LinkedIn, those like boss women on LinkedIn. I'm like, there's no way these bitches are having profitable companies. Because
No,
seriously, I would have been bankrupt like a year ago if I didn't have my dad to help me because I was so bad with like the I don't know, just like managing money and like managing people. Like, I was really lucky where my brothers like helped me. And there's no way. So I'm like, there is no way these women could keep like a 300 person company organized. I'm like, I can barely do 5. Like, you know what I mean?
Bankruptcy is a totally Western manufactured thing. When you think about it, like what is bankruptcy? Scripture has a way, had its own way, like after 7 years, all debts are settled. But this was like to one person. Bankruptcy is something so many women rely on. I know women who have just like stacked up endless credit cards, knowing that they're about to claim bankruptcy. They're like, oh, I'm about to claim bankruptcy. I'm just going to claim as much debt as I can. And
wait, what is, I don't even know what that is. I guess I said the word, but like you can just get rid of debt when you go bankrupt. Is that how it works?
There are certain types of bankruptcies in the West, but women, you called it out, they're much more likely to file for bankruptcy because of their really poor money management skills. And so what happens, I think if it's anything other than a college loan, which whatever, Biden now, so now people don't have to pay for their stupid degrees, but like if you have like a credit card loan, or like endless credit card loans or car loans. That's a big one for a lot of people. Or house loan.
My roommate after college, we both graduated. She got this she was bitching to me about paying rent and she got this like super nice like new car out of college. I'm like, why? For what? Your old car worked. Like it wasn't even like she needed. I mean, I liked her, nice girl, but I'm like, how are you going to cry to me about money when you're driving like a new Mercedes or whatever it was?
Yeah, again, it's very basic. It's very animalistic. Basic is synonymous with animal. It's very low level thinking. It's very superficial. And what do you know? That's what girls look at first thing. How much money does a guy have? So they think, if I'm rich, then a guy would want me. But of course, men don't care about how much money you have, but women don't care about what men want because they don't give a shit about men. Unfortunately, they just, women in the West, like you said, their entire religion revolves around the female deity. They deify themselves. And we make a promotion on our channel for goddess worship. And I really think you should watch the documentary we direct you to, because that will be very revelatory. But yeah, everything you said is hitting the nail on the head. But yeah, so women just don't like being found out. They have like an anaphylactic reaction. They have a visceral, physical reaction of defending whatever foundation they're on rather than letting it fall and rebuilding it. Because us women, we're constantly in the process of rebuilding ourselves and remolding ourselves, particularly to the man we're with. And the longer you wait to marry, this is why marrying young is so important. Oh my gosh, what was that guy? What was the name of that guy again you had who was like the 70s older guy who was like,
oh, Jeffries. Yeah, Ross Jeffries.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had to bite my tongue a lot. I was not in the mood.
Oh my, again, you're so gracious. That man was a fucking idiot. That man is the enemy, people. That guy was the enemy. That man was the man from the 70s who started the sexual revolution, philosophers are creeps, guys. Philosophers are people who philosophize into your brain and then they've managed to philosophize you into bed. That man had so many things wrong. It was just outrageous. You were so gracious and patient with him, but it was really difficult because he look, if you have to say you're not a feminist, like I don't have to go around saying, oh, I'm not a feminist. Oh, these are my opinions, but I'm not a feminist.
Right.
Like you don't have to go online and say I'm not a feminist. It's very fucking clear you're not a feminist.
Well, I think even feminists, like the I'm not a feminist, like most of the trad women are feminists. And it's
100%.
because they play this like cosplay with like the baking and like but to me anyways, when I think about like the women that are the most feminine, it really doesn't have anything to do with the dresses. It has to do with serving their family. Like probably the most feminine woman I know. I never saw her in makeup. She kind of looked homeless half the time, but shit, she worked her ass off to make sure her boys were raised right, like fed. She listened, like, and I remember growing up, people thought she was kind of weird because her husband, like, it was like whatever he said goes. And even from a more conservative community, I wouldn't say that's the norm. And that's like, you know, I came from, like, some people call it MAGA country, you know, and even like, I don't even think in conservative communities, it's the norm. Like when I think of femininity, it's serving your family and listening to your husband. That's what I think of. But a lot of these trads, it's like the look, but not the character.
Yeah. Pierce Morgan brought you on and he was like, look, Pearl, what do you think of this trad girl? And it was like that blonde girl who's like,
well, I don't know her, so I'm like, I liked her though, but you know.
I mean, you know, she's got the aesthetic, but it's not. But it was about her. It was about her, and our entire way of life is thanks to men, and men are like the most disenfranchised group of people in our country right now. 40,000 of them are taking their own life. How horrible does your life have to be where you think there's no better option for you than like, if anybody has ever experienced like those types of thoughts, it's a horrible place to be in. It's dark. And women, because they're never alone, you know, they don't know what it's like to go through something like that. And the entitlement is just, they've never put themselves in men's shoes when men are constantly trying to understand how women think, constantly trying to put themselves in women's shoes. How can I be more gracious or understanding or yada, yada, yada. And because our entire way of life is dependent on men's well-being and the prosperity of men's communities, we really need to take the spotlight off of ourselves. And the covetous spirit, women have always coveted men because they are the superior vessel. They're always power hungry, because we have no power. We are entirely at men's mercy. So these are terms that women have vacated from their vocabulary because they're so boastful and proud. And that's why they're so angry, because men haven't put them in their place. They're angry because they say, you should know me, but you know what they say in the Bible? They say Eve ate the apple, but Adam should have stopped Eve.
Oh, that's the most annoying thing. Do we have agency or do we not have agency?
Exactly. Are we children? Are we children? Or are we more than children? Can can we make choices and be held accountable for those choices?
Mhm.
Or we are totally incapable of making choices and therefore need to be supervised and looked after every step of the way. So the reason women are angry is because they shot themselves in the foot. They done did hit the wall, like Lauren Southern, and they didn't have the men. They say they don't want the man to correct them, but the reality is women's psychology, ladies, we really need to work on this sociopathy. Just relax. Just fix that little wrinkle in your eyebrow. Just relax and let the man direct you, and things will be so much stressful. You don't have to fight for control. Like, let go of the rope, and things will work out for you better, for him better. But, they want the men to correct them. But they say that they don't want the men to correct them because they're told you're oppressed, because they're told you're this, you're that. So they're angry because they weren't controlled. They're angry because they weren't controlled. Women say, "You're so controlling. I don't like to be controlled." It's not that you don't like control, it's that you don't like when he's in control. You want to be in control. Somebody's got to always be in control. So if he's not in control, then you're in control, bitch. And guess what? You hate that. You hate that. And that's why you're angry, because he tried to control you. You said no. He didn't fight for me. There are memes now that are saying the guy's like, "Hey, want to go on a date?" And she's like, "No." And he's like, "Hey, thanks, bye." And she's like, "Why didn't he fight for me?" Like, the guys are done playing your games.
They're done.
They're done.
The simp bubble is popping. It is, yeah.
And so that's why they're angry. They're angry because because they got what they wanted. The women are mad.
That's a
because we
great
got what we
answer.
wanted.
You give a woman everything you want, then we get angry.
Yeah, I made a post the other day, and it's like, guys, the more she expects, the less she deserves.
And that's the problem too, is there's a lot of female dating advice that says to, make men chase you, to demand princess treatment. And I think where it gets confusing is it does work, but it's on men who don't understand women, and you will always hate those men. Like, it works on the simps, and you're never gonna like a simp. The way that we fall in love is by doing things for men. Like, that's how we fall in love. It's not the man worshiping us.
Joel put me on a curriculum right away. He said, "You watch these videos and get back to me when you did that." I was like, "Oh my goodness, somebody's actually expecting something out of me. This is outrageous." Nobody's ever expected anything out of me.
Did he make you not a feminist, or were you like not?
Yeah, he made me not a feminist. I actually voted for Trump for the first time in 2020, shortly before I met him. But I had to. But yeah, I was still a feminist, totally. And we could go into depth on that another time.
Yeah.
Like, there's you should really watch that documentary. I think you'll find it fascinating.
You should DM. Do I follow you on X? I don't know if I do or not.
I don't think so.
Well, DM me.
Hebrew wifey, guys.
Yeah.
I will. I'll send it to you.
I'll look for it. Send me the link.
Yeah, I think you'll find it very enlightening. The sensuality. That's what our culture, talked about chivalry the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that amongst men. The gayness, it's just like crazy. It's an overly sensual culture right now. The thanks. The in the church, you gotta have the music, and you gotta be really sensitive with the way you talk, and like just be so understand. It's just like everything is overly sensual. Overly sensual.
I couldn't figure out why. And when I found the red pill on church, I figured it out from Glenn Lawrence. He came with me to the Michael Knowles interview. He's been on a couple podcasts, and freaking
oh yeah, Glenn.
Yeah, and when he explained to me like the feminism in the church, I was like, that's why. I could never articulate like what I thought was so like off in the church. I just knew something was off, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And when he articulated that, like, oh my gosh, when he like the mutual submission, the Eve thing, like all of that feminist jargon that's in the church, I was like, oh, that's why, like, because I don't know, it's like a feeling you get when it's just bullshit, but you can't explain why. And I found, because I went
Yeah.
to a Catholic school for like ever, and then I went to a Protestant church for a couple years. But I was like, why are they talking about BLM here? Like, what is that? Because it was during the whole George Floyd thing. I'm like, why? You know, and the people were super nice in the church. Like, it's nothing against them, but I was like, something's off, and I could never articulate what it was. And when I found
Yeah.
Glenn, I was like, thank you. I could
Yeah.
never, yeah, thank you.
So what it is it's Gnosticism. It's actually not a biblical faith. What's
Mhm,
being what has infiltrated the church?
mhm,
It's a Gnostic religion, which is goddess worship, which is feminine female deification, and it infiltrates in a lot of different manners. It's got a lot of different faces, and that's why it's so hard to pinpoint. And again, guys, uh, Western culture through God's eyes is Joel's and my channel, and under the video goddess worship. And I don't want to overtalk too much
mhm,
because I've gleaned all of my wisdom from Joel,
mhm.
and he saved my life in more ways than one. Really, like, gave me so much meaning and understanding and just grounding. And I really wanted to give him an opportunity to talk in the future. But men should really watch the video he made on game, because it shows men how to navigate the internet where men are meeting women now, and how to posture them, because that's what you have to do with women. They're constantly shit testing you,
Mhm.
and you need to posture them. You need to they challenge you to see if you can dominate them. And that this is like, it's a constant thing with women, but as you dominate them more and more, they do it less, and they want you to dominate them. And that's why women are angry too, because they haven't been dominated. They haven't been dominated in the church. They're angry as hell in the church.
They're worse. I prefer
You
the
know,
OnlyFans whores to church women. I swear to God.
these Christian women are insufferable.
They're
Insufferable.
and they do it. No, it's worse because they do it under the guise of Jesus. Oh my gosh, I will take an OF chick who's just honest. She's like, "Yep, I'm a
Yeah,
whore," you know.
it's two-facedness. And again, that's Gnosticism. It's a two-faced side. And so they call it churchianity, Christianity. They call it whatever you like. Whatever you like, they'll call it that. But what it is Gnosticism. It's goddess worship. And that's the religion of the West right now. And the reality is that when you go to war, this is a war. And people are like, oh, just we're like at peacetime. We're at a war right now. Unfortunately, it's an ideological war, and you have to ideologically battle. And a lot of women, when you ideologically dominate them, they lash out physically, and they're going to be have to dominate it physically. And a lot of them want that too, because, like I said, they're animalistic. Women are more animalistic than men. Sure, men have animalistic tendencies too. The men's side of animalistic behavior is promiscuity, being promiscuous, but they have that superior intellect that can control it. For women, the animalistic side is being hypergamous.
Well, you see it with all these teachers screwing the students, these women. It's like they
Yeah.
put them by a 16-year-old jock, they go crazy. The men are smart enough, they won't even teach. They're like, if I could go to jail for that, I'm not even stepping foot in this. I spoke to a really, he was a really talented producer, and he was producing one of the songs I'm writing. And he told me that he was going to be a teacher at a school, and one of the women that was like young hit on him. Like, she was like 15, 16 years old, and she hit on him. He said he quit that same day. He was like, I am not doing this. I'm not going to jail. But women, it's like
They're out for blood. These women are really out for blood. They don't know what they want. They always think the grass is greener on the other side
Mhm.
because of estrogen. Estrogen is a crazy freaking hormone. And back in biblical times, the women went to the red tent. They're like, you ladies are acting cray cray right now. You need to excuse yourself away from all the men before you do something stupid and F us, our entire sweet little society up, right? So they went to the red tent, and there are some books on it. Of course, the book The Red Tent, I believe, was written by a feminist, but there are extra biblical texts that talk about the Bible is riddled with female sin, just riddled with it, and the women are just like, just ignore it. Let's not talk about that. You know, there's a book called the Book of Jasher, which is referenced in the Bible. Not all of the books that are worthwhile reading fit in the canon, but basically it says that Rachel, you know, Jacob's second wife, she was harboring weird, creepy idols. And I'll entice you with that much. You know, she was harboring idols to try and speak to demons so she could predict the future. You know, witchcraft is very much a female-centric craft. The dark magics. Whoa, that's another totally deep topic to go into sometime. Why are women more inclined to that? We know we have to go back into history. We live in a culture that doesn't want to look at history, a culture that has disdain for history. But once you look at history,
they rewrite it too. So it's like God only knows even what. It's so confusing. It's like you'll get one you know, you start to figure it out when you get older, but it's like, I mean, it's like you go to school and they teach you the wrong thing.
Women can't figure it out ourselves. We can't figure it out ourselves. And we need men to help us discern this stuff because we're gullible and we're naturally more receptive creatures. So we're like, oh, you know, we'll receive even the devil. Sheesh, we're so receptive, right? So we really need, oh my gosh, we need men. Anyone who tells you that you don't need men, kick that to the curb. And they'll get angry and then they will humble themselves. Like you said, women certainly lack humility, but we don't have the power to discern theology, to discern history. And, you know, Joel and I love talking about gender dynamics and patriarchy and theology. We think theology is a big key to it. However, if you can't get on the gender dynamics topic, you won't be able to talk about anything else. Like we've got patriarchal Muslims, patriarchal Hindus. Patriarchy was the way of the world for all of history. So you don't have to have the right theology to practice proper gender dynamics. It's just it's entwined in nature. It's the law of nature. It's the law of hierarchy. It's the law of dominance. So until like men come to agreement on patriarchy, there will not be theological clarity either. That's like the first step. And unfortunately, you see the battle we're up against. The simps are everywhere.
God,
every
everywhere.
Day I've been trying to correct the simp.
It's
he
like
thinks he's going to get laid.
They have the minds of women. I'm like, gee.
They are like women.
Yeah, because
and we face that in our own community. It's like Michael Knowles was like, not my church, not my marriage. Congratulations, Michael.
No,
have a cookie.
I was so happy he was Catholic because I'm like, you're not getting any of this shit past me. Because I'm like, no. I grew up with Catholics. I know the Latin Mass. No. I have cousins that we didn't do Latin Mass, but I have cousins that did. No. My cousins, they went to Latin Mass. One of the kids was in a throuple. You know what I mean? Like that, like weird shit. He went to like Oregon, did all this weird shit. I'm like, no. You guys are not exempt. You're not immune. It's not special. So come on.
It's just about dominance. It's purely about dominance. And we could talk about Nala and all that nonsense before. Oh, but what I wanted to say is that the women are bloodthirsty. And I'll probably leave it at this. But the women are bloodthirsty. And that's why they're so enraged. They're so angry because, you know, I made this post on X, but basically, Steven Crowder, for example, sorry, I got distracted. Mm-hmm. Steven Crowder was like the scapegoat sacrifice for the feminist religion. Seasonally, the feminist religion requires a blood sacrifice. Steven Crowder was their guy. Russell Brand was their guy. Who's going to be the next blood sacrifice?
I have never been so disappointed in conservatives than Steven Crowder. I'm like, there is no way this guy is going to be. I've watched him for a decade. I'm like, no. I'm like, how are you guys this stupid? No.
Unfortunately, Steven is a little blue-pilled. He's not based
totally.
in our opinion. He's not based enough in our opinion. And his wife was not a victim of feminism. She was a spy. She was an infiltrator. She knew dang well what she's doing. And so he was just another one of the sacrifice of the feminist religion. And make no mistake, men, as long as you don't control women, as long as you don't dominate them, they will continue to ruthlessly wreak havoc over men's lives, children's lives. They don't care. It's about female deification. And sorry to get kind of like biblical, but women are like the female, because women have a seductive face, Satan has chosen them as his tool, and because women are selfish, it's really kind of trippy. Sorry, I'm trying to articulate it, but basically, like, it's Satan's work, but it manifests in a female form.
Yeah, it has
And
to. Every evil.
yeah,
That's what I kept coming
it's
to.
androgynous.
That's
It's
what.
that androgynous.
Yeah, that's what I kept coming to. It wasn't even because I'm Catholic, but I'm not crazy. Like I'm not that Catholic. And so I was like, how does it that every evil that happens, it's like passed through women? I was like, it just kept like the movie industry started sucking. Women took over that. I was like the all the policies women have passed the last 100 years. It wasn't even. It's like you come to these conclusions. It's not even a religious point of view. I'm like evil. There has to be some sort of evil in women. There just has to.
I mean, it is religious because everything's religious.
Yeah.
Your religion cannot be biblical. You can have a different religion from the Bible, but it is a religious point of view. So, like I said, feminism is a religion, and patriarchy is it's just reality.
Right.
So it just
No, but
it just depends.
that's my point. That's my point. Is it's
Yeah.
interesting because you can come to almost like religious conclusions just by looking at the world. Like that's the funny part.
Yeah, it's almost like with our creator.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, like once you take the red pill, babes, my darling Pearl, we love you so much. The red pill is a lifelong prescription. You just have to keep taking it. And the more red pills, like it's like your medicine. You take the red pill and it's going to reveal more and more things to you throughout life that are uncomfortable. It never stops. You never stop taking the red pill. And it'll bring you down places you don't want to go, unfortunately. Uncomfortable roads. And unfortunately, women aren't willing to take that red pill. Whether it's gender dynamic red pill, whether it's a political red pill, whether it's historical red pill, whether it's a theological red pill. It makes you realize that the foundation of all your understanding was based on lies, and you have to rebuild it. And a lot of people, they just don't want to bother. They just don't care. They're not in it for the truth. They just want to move throughout life comfortably, personally benefit. They just want to fit in, and they want to benefit personally. And so they will compromise on everything for that. And I really have to give my husband, Joel, shout out. He's the father of our channel, Western Culture Through God's Eyes. And you can find him there because we talk about this stuff all the time. These are the level of conversations you should be having with your women, not like, what'd you do today? Did you get some new diapers? Did you go shopping? Did you watch your favorite telenovela? Whatever, like these are the conversations worth having. And just studying history and not ignoring the politically incorrect things that you're noticing, because that's what the enemy is relying on for you to ignore it, for you to say, oh, that's probably nothing.
Right. Well, thank you so much for calling in. This has been a pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
I'm really excited to do our video. I think it's like in 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm excited. I think it'll be fun.
It's going to be a good time. You're more than welcome here.
Yeah, I'm ready for you guys to blow my mind. So
we love you to pieces, Pearl, and we'll see you soon.
See you. Thank you very much.
Have a great night.
What a pleasure. What a gal. Yeah, guys. So what happened with her? I saw her and her husband on YouTube, and they just seemed really smart. I was like, wow, they have the Western Culture Through God's Eyes, and I don't even know what religion they are, to be honest, but it was weird because they were talking about all this like religious text, and it was they were coming to the same conclusions I had about like the world, but I didn't come at it from like a religious like I just started looking and coming to these conclusions. So, she's wonderful. Yeah, Chad loves her. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's all my calls I'm gonna take for today because I'm tired. I want to go to bed. I have to go to the US soon. But let me know what you guys think in the freaking comments. And let me know what you think. Why are women so angry? I thought that last answer was amazing. Let me know. It's Western culture through God's eyes. Please, guys, sign up for our memberships. Dear God, please. I mean, if you've been watching for more than 2 weeks, it's $10 a month. It helps fund Blessing's salary. It helps us get new equipment. We'd really like to invest in a studio. And I just want to tell YouTube to screw it, because I go on these stupid calls where they tell me I have to like filter what I say and I have to say it in a different way, and I just don't know what I'm gonna do, because quite frankly, guys, we're not really making the same money we used to make on YouTube. Our expenses are high. We have people here, and it's just a really tough spot. So if you can, please sign up to the website, and if you have any feedback to give to us on the website, please message me on Instagram. I'm watching. We're trying to make it as good as possible, and it's where we're going to release our documentaries that are coming out in the next couple of months. Please, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tune in next time for another episode of Pearl Daily. Seriously, I love you guys. Thank you for allowing me to do what we do. I'll talk to you next time.